tonight we change to a completely different kind of physical world, totally different kind of nation, different kind of people, different kind of culture, and all of it is traceable to this very map that we're looking at. That is, there are so many different things about Greece when we compare Greece and the nature of Greece, the nature of the land, to the nature of the land of Israel. And so therefore tonight we're going to see that there'll be many, many qualities to this nation that we talk about that will explain the uniqueness of the people. Now, we have two cultures here in these first few weeks that are parent cultures of Western civilization. And when we talk about them, we know we're going back to 2000 BC. So in each case, if we're looking for a date at which time we can find something that is Western, it would be sometime after 2000. In both cases, in both the Greek story and the ancient Israel story, in both cases, somewhere after 2000 BC, 18, 17, 16, both cultures emerge from what went before. So that's an interesting thing to start with, that we have two very small cultures, one in the northeast corner of the Mediterranean, one in the southeast corner of the Mediterranean, and both of which begin to form their quality, their nature, their values, their ideas at about 1800 BC. So that's the start. So here's our map. Now, what is the greatest contribution of Greece to the Western tradition? If we want to sum it up, if we want to take away tonight one thing, what is it? Now, this thing that I'm going to mention, you have to wait for a second because I'm going to build up to it, but this thing that I'm going to tell you is not visible immediately. It's not visible in 1700. It's not visible in 1400. It emerges. It is created. It comes to be believed. It comes to be embraced. And then by 600, 5, 4, and 300, certainly by 450 in Athens, then this idea is visible, clear, sharp. So, what is it? What is it that we should remember when we think about Greece and we look at the map? It is the core idea that the universe has an order. The universe has an order. The order is in it. The order was created by an orderly creator. That the creator, sustainer of this universe is order. Often in some philosophical language, they made the two the one. That is, the God, the creator, was order. It was a God. But one way or another, the universe is orderly. The earth is orderly. The stars are orderly. Music is orderly. Mathematics are orderly. In every single one of these visible manifestations of this idea, the Greeks saw a reflection of the greater order that stood behind everything. Two great figures, one in the Louvre, one in Italy, and Venus de Milo, and over here on the right, the spear bearer. This is a Roman copy of a very famous Greek bronze. The Romans loved Greek sculpture. They loved Greece. They loved Greek philosophy, Greek literature, and therefore they copied endlessly great Greek works of sculpture, and we're all happy they did, because otherwise all these works would have been lost, because many of the Greek originals were lost, but the Roman copies survived, and so we have these two perfect embodiments of female beauty and male beauty in the various museums. Now, why look at beautiful people to start tonight? Well, because it's fun, right? We could start with ugly people, but who wants to do that? So let's start with two beautiful people. And as we look at them, and as we think about this, we have the perfect embodiment, literally, embodiment of the idea I just shared with you. Here is the statement from Greek sculptors that said, as all Greeks would have agreed with, 450 BC, this is the high point, human beings are beautiful, number one. Human beings are also reflective of the great universal order. That is why human beings are beautiful. That is the whole reason that human beings are beautiful, is because when we look at a human being here, we see the reflection of order. Now, the order in the human being is proportion, and the proportions were often put into mathematical formula. And therefore, all during Western art, again and again and again, later generations of artists go back and study Greek and Roman sculpture and write down and make notations on the mathematical proportions of a perfect human body. Leonardo da Vinci did it endlessly. Leonardo da Vinci, when he was painting The Last Supper, spent weeks and weeks and weeks measuring people who he had paid to come off the street and take off their clothes. And so all these Milanese people were being invited into his studio, and he would say, okay, take off your clothes. And then he would get out his little measuring thing, and he was measuring all these people until he came up with what he considered to be the perfect man, which you can see in what is called Vitruvian man. It's the famous image with the human being spread eagle, and the circle is around him in the square. Vitruvian man. So that was his Renaissance return to the idea that you could spell out mathematically what a beautiful body was, because the beauty was in the numbers, the beauty was in the proportion. And so in those thoughts of Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and others in the Renaissance was the recognition on their part that the Greeks were right, and that in the perfect human body, in the beautiful human body, was a proportion that you could describe mathematically, 2 this to that to 3 to this to 3 to that. The human face, the same thing. You could measure the perfect human face has certain proportions, and everybody agrees on this. There have been all kinds of studies on faces, and in multiple cultures on what's a beautiful face. Everybody agrees. Everybody knows what a beautiful face is. It has a lot to do with, how much distance between the nose and the forehead, how much distance between the mouth, etc. So the Greeks, when they made both of these figures, they were saying that when we look at this image, the pleasure that we derive from it is in the instantaneous knowledge, instinctual knowledge. You don't think it through. It's just that your body knows it. The instinctual knowledge that the body is beautiful because of the correct proportions between all the parts. And therefore, to start with then, the Greek standing male or female nude is a statement from the Greek artist that human beauty is a reflection of universal beauty, of universal order. So that's the first thing, that human beings are beautiful, which you see right here. Human beings are beautiful, and they're beautiful because they reflect the order of the universe today. They reflect the mathematical beauty of the universe. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that human beings in the world, in the universe, are special. They're different. They're more important than anything else. This is a core Greek humanistic value. Humanistic meaning human being. And at one point, a Greek philosopher says man is the measure of all things, meaning the universe is here with us in the middle. Christians would have agreed, Jews would agree, and that we are special from all the other animals. Now, they love the other animals. They were going to study them. They were going to create the first zoos, the first botanical gardens, but they felt like the Jews did, that the human being was special. The human being had a special role, special place in the universe, and it was in the beauty of their person that the universe was reflected. Now, everybody here wants to run right out to 24-hour fitness tomorrow, don't you? So you can reflect, right? So you can reflect correctly, right? So you can reflect correctly the beauty of the universe, and those of you in the room who already know you do, you feel very good. You like this. The third thing, so we have two things. Human beings are beautiful because they reflect. And number two, human beings are special, which is humanistic values. And number three, and this is another thing they share with the Jews and the Christians, is human beings are free. That is, built into the universe, built into the structure of the universe and the nature of the human being is the idea that man should be free. If he is enslaved, it's counter to the natural order. Now, you're all going to raise your hand right away. I can see them going up here and say, wait, didn't they have slaves? Didn't they have slaves? Yes, they did. Yes, they did. The Romans did too. And the more thoughtful philosophers were aware of the contradiction. So they just had to live with the contradiction. Both Greek society and Roman society lived with an inherent contradiction. If you go to Rome, Cicero is very aware of it and very troubled by it and returns to it again and again and makes sure that the number one thing he wants done the minute he dies is that his slave is freed. Now, he was already taking good care of him, and the slave was living a very aristocratic, high-level life. But the point was that Cicero wanted him free as soon as he could give him that freedom. Now, he could have given him freedom anytime, but the slave didn't want to go away. The slave was his secretary, his friend, his companion, so the slave wasn't particularly interested in going away. But once Cicero was gone, well, then no reason to stick around, right? So human beings are free. So you have three great insights on the part of Greece about human beings, which is in the core of all humanistic values, which continue all the way through the Western tradition to the present time. So there's never been a time when these values disappeared completely, all the way through in all the various societies that return to either the Roman version of this idea or the Greek. In any case, and in every case, these ideas survive. So that's where we start. A key piece, two things so far: order and the human reflection of that order.